Hi guys. Really sorry I'm not there today. Kenzie woke up with a fever and my husband couldn't stay home, so here I am. So I'm gonna make just a quick video for you. Well, maybe not super quick. I'm gonna try to cover everything to get you ready for this test. So pay attention, work these out with me. This is your review that you did for homework. So I'm just going to walk you through the key elements. The answer key is posted in Canvas. So if you're dying to see one that I don't go over, check Canvas, but I'm going to go over the ones that are most pertinent to you. So we're going to start with number 8 here. If you look at this setup, okay, they tell you angle 2 is 63, and I highly recommend as you do this, you label what you know. So 2 is 63, label it right on the picture. 9 is 105, and that will kind of help you see some things. As I was going through this with some of you yesterday, a lot of you are seeing vertical angles right away, which is awesome. So like 2 and 5 are vertical angles, right? So this is 63 also. 9 and 7 are vertical angles. So this is 105. Okay, so look for vertical angles. Those are helpful. Another thing that's helpful that people usually forget about are the linear pairs. And so if you look here in this set of angles, the 105 and the 8 are a linear pair. And remember, a linear pair has to add up to 180. So if you go 180 minus that 105, you get angle 8 being 75. And then angle 10 is a vertical angle to that, or a linear pair with either of those 105s as well. Okay, now the next thing I see, and you can totally disagree with me on this, but I'm just going to show you where I would go next. This angle, the 105, and this angle, the 6. Think about what type of angles those are. They told us these lines are parallel, right? So if the lines are parallel, which they are, then these are, hopefully you figured this out, same side interior angles, and same side interiors are supplementary. So that means 105 and angle 6 have to be supplementary. Some of you may have seen it this way. This angle here and this angle down here are alternate interior angles. So look for the different types of angles that you know. If this one is 75, then 3 is 75. Those are vertical. Okay. And then here's where I go next, and you can totally disagree with me on this, but again, this is just the way my brain sees it. This angle, 2 and 3 put together, is corresponding to this angle. So if I put 2 and 3 together, it should equal 12. So if you do that, add those together, you get 138 degrees. And now you can do your whole vertical angles. So this is 138. You can use this as a linear pair. So 138 and what would add up to 180? That's going to be 42 degrees. And now these are vertical angles. So 11 is 42. And then 4 is an alternate interior with 42. So this is 42, making angle 1, which is vertical to 4, also 42. The other thing you could have done right here, this is a straight line. So that means that, sorry, this is kind of a mess now, huh? This whole thing makes a straight line. So those 3 angles put together have to add up to 180. So as soon as you know 2 of them, you can subtract the other 2 from 180 and you'll be there. Okay, so there's one like that on your test. There's also one like 10 and 11. So let's just look at the difference between these, because you got to pay attention to what kind of angles you have. The 2 that have the X's are those 2, right? That's this angle and that angle. Name those. They're corresponding, right? Those are corresponding angles. And we know corresponding angles are congruent. Let's go through the list real fast. The ones that are congruent versus the ones that are supplementary. The congruent ones are corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, and vertical. Okay, these ones being the ones that involve parallel lines. Supplementary ones are the same side interiors, same side exteriors, and the linear pairs. And again, these two are the ones that use parallel lines. Okay. So these are correspondings, which means they're congruent. So you're going to go 7x minus 30 is equal to 5x plus 14. I'm not going to do the algebra on that right now because we don't have a ton of time. So we'll just say we solved it and x came out to 22 because it does. Okay. Once you know that x is 22, my brain goes here to a linear pair. Okay, these two angles put together should equal 180. So if I plug 22 in right here, I should have got a calculator. 124, 7 times 22 minus 30, I think is 124. Two ways you could do this then. You can say 3y plus 11 plus that 124 equals 180. Or if this is 124 and I know it makes a linear pair, I could just subtract 124 from 180 and say, okay, then I know that this angle is 56 degrees. And then you could say 3y plus 11 equals 56. Either way, you're going to get the same answer. So it really doesn't matter. This one, y came out to 15. Okay, so that's how you would solve number 10. Look at number 11. The two that have the x's, those are same side interior angles, which we know are supplementary. So if those are same side interiors, then we're going to say 23x minus 16 plus 8x minus 21 should equal 180. Okay, now solve that. Combine those, and then solve. On this one, you get that x comes out to 7 once you're done solving all of that. And now look here. These are vertical angles. So if I plug 7 in here, 23 times 7 minus 16, that should equal 7y minus 23. And then you could solve for y. On this one, y came out to 24. Okay, moving right along. Let's do I think I gave you the left side on all of these, right? So we are going to I'm not going to do all of them. Let's do, I feel like I did 16 with quite a few of you in class. Let's do 17. So 17 says R is parallel to S. It says angle 1 and angle 4 are supplementary. And then we said angle 1 and angle 5 are supplementary. And then we said angle 5 is congruent to angle 4. And then we said P is parallel to Q. Reminder, whenever your statement is lines parallel, it should be the converse of some theorem, okay? First two steps are your given because they told us that here and here. Some of you missed the second given on the quiz. Make sure you look at all your given information and label it as given, okay? Okay, so they told us R is parallel to S. That's helpful. These two lines are parallel. And if that's the case, then we know that 1 and 5 are supplementary because these are parallel lines. This would be our transversal. We know they're supplementary because they are same side interior angles, okay? Then the next step says that angle 5 is congruent to angle 4. Okay, now you got to think, how did they get us there? Because it looks like, oh, those are corresponding angles, so it's corresponding angles. But you can only use corresponding angles if you know the lines are parallel, and the lines being used there are the lines we're trying to prove. That's P and Q. So you can't say corresponding angles. But if you look here, 1 and 4 are supplementary and 1 and 5 are supplementary. So that means these two have to be the same because they add up with this to the same 180, right? That's the congruent supplements theorem. Okay. As far as the test goes with proofs, make sure, let's just think through some of the things we do a lot. If there are angles that look like this, those are vertical angles, right? If there are parallel lines and you've got different types of angles, alternate interiors, same side exteriors, same side interiors, again, vertical, two next to each other that make a straight line, that's a linear pair. If it says like angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 and angle 3 is congruent to angle 2, so angle 1 is congruent to angle 3, that's transitive, right? Whenever you can take one out, so take your 2's out and you're left with what's left, that's the transitive property, or you can say substitution. Yeah, I think that pretty well covers it as far as the test. It's just one proof. We did give you the left side of the proof. And just keep in mind, if the thing that you are proving is parallel lines, it should be the converse of, oh, we didn't finish that. Sorry. So this, P parallel to Q, once we know that 5 is congruent to 4, that's the converse. Those are corresponding angles. So you can use the converse of corresponding there, but you cannot use corresponding for the step before it. All right. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at that for that one. All right, then you do need to know your formulas. You will have to find the slope of some lines, and you need to know that formula. So the slope formula is y2 minus y1, subtraction, okay, over x2 minus x1. Make sure you know that formula. Maybe when you get the test handed to you, you write that formula up at the top of it, okay? The only other formula that you really need to know is you need to be able to put something into slope-intercept form. I lied, that's not true. In order to put something into slope-intercept form, you might want to start in point-slope form. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, okay? We really didn't do anything with standard form on the test, so you should be okay there. Okay, describe the slopes of parallel lines. Parallel lines always have the same slope. And that's the symbol we use for it. And then describe the slopes of perpendicular lines. Tell your neighbor. Perpendicular lines are what? Did you say opposite reciprocals? Hopefully. Okay. Okay. Then I'm going to do the last 3 questions on your test with you right now. Somewhat. They're different numbers, but the same idea. Okay. One of them says, given all of this information, like number 23, find x, that missing variable, so that this. Okay. Tell your neighbor how you say that. JK is parallel to LM, okay? So keep in mind, parallel means we need to have the same slope. So let's find a slope. JK is this. So we're going to go x1, y1, and x2, y2, and plug that into slope formula. So the slope of JK is going to be y2 minus a negative 18, right? It's always subtraction. So if you're subtracting a negative, it turns into addition. Oh, I really should have taken a calculator home with me, you guys. Sorry, I'm trying to find my document again. Okay, so if we're finding the slope here, it's going to be 7 minus a negative 18 over, right, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 plus a positive. Okay, so 7 plus 18 is 25. 2 plus 8 is 10. We want to simplify that. So 25 over 10. You can plug that into your calculator, and then second PRB should turn it back into a fraction for you. Or, I mean, it depends on the calculator you have, I guess. But this would be 2.5. I don't want 2.5 as the slope because that doesn't really help you. So reduce it. This is 5 over 2 because those are both divisible by 5. That means the slope of the line parallel needs to stay the same, 5 over 2. So if I can find the slope of LM, right, I'm going to go x1, y1, x2, y2 again. So it's going to be y2 minus y1 over x2, which is x, minus x1, which is a negative 1. So it's really going to be plus 1. Okay, let's just simplify that. 4 minus 9 is a negative 5 over x plus 1. That is the slope of LM, but that doesn't give us a value of x yet. So we're going to set that equal to what the slope should equal. The slope should be 5 halves. So set it equal to 5 halves and cross multiply. Okay, negative 5 times 2 is a negative 10. And then distribute this, 5x plus 5. Take away the 5. So negative 15 equals 5x, and divide by 5. So x is a negative 3. That is a question on your test, okay? Go to 24. 24, you are doing the same thing, but now we want them to be perpendicular. So we want opposite reciprocal slopes, okay? So we're going to start by finding the slope of FG. Oh, no, not FG. GH, my bad. Sorry. Here's G. That was a little dramatic, wasn't it? Sorry. Don't mean to be that dramatic. It's been a morning, you guys. All right, so we're going to go 11 minus a negative 13. And then we need to go 14 minus 8, okay? You can go in whichever order you want to go in for your 1s and your 2s. It really doesn't matter. What you cannot do is 11 minus negative 13 and then start at 8, okay? You have to go in the same order for each one. All right, so this becomes 24 over 6, which is 4, right? So the slope of what was it? GH is going to be 4, okay? Now, EF needs to be perpendicular to that. So the slope of EF is going to be what? Tell your neighbor. Did you get negative 1/4? All right, opposite reciprocal. Flip it over. So treat this like 4 over 1. Flip it over, change the sign. So here's what I want my slope to be. Here's the numbers I have to work with. So again, I'm going to go y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Simplify that. 5 minus y over 12. That's the slope, and it should equal a negative 1/4. Don't put your negative with both, okay? The negative, just keep your negative with the top number every time. We're going to distribute this 4, cross multiply. So it's going to be 20 minus 4y equals, right, equals, now cross this way, negative 12. Take away the 20. So a negative 4y equals a negative 32, and divide by negative 4. So y is 8. Okay. Okay, last one. This one, perpendicular bisector. Okay, I dropped in a graph because you will have to graph this on the test. So if you want to grab a graph, you're welcome to. Otherwise, just watch for now, and then you'll be able to do it on the test. Okay, RS is formed by these 2 points. Plot them. Okay, -2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. -10. So that's R. Okay. S is 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. -4. Side note, if you want to borrow one of my straight edges, I think you know where they are. They're on my desk. Okay. Feel free to borrow. Okay, so here's RS. It says if line K is the perpendicular bisector of RS, write a linear equation. So first thing we should figure out is what is the slope. And I'm going to show you both ways. If you want to find the slope with the slope formula, it would be y2 minus y1, -4 minus a -10, so plus a positive, over 10 minus a -2, plus a positive. Okay, -4 plus 10 is 6. 10 plus 2 is 12. So your slope, when you reduce that, is 1/2. Okay, here's the other way you could have done it. To get from point R to point S, we had to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 over. That's your slope. 6 over 12, which is 1/2. Okay, so either way, you've got your slope. Okay, now we have to bisect it, which means you can either use the midpoint formula. So I'm going to show you that midpoint formula here, or I'm going to show you the other way that you could do it as well. Midpoint formula says you take the 2 points that you have, these 2 guys up here, R and S, and you go x1 plus x2 over 2, always over 2, and then y1 plus y2, and again over 2. If you plug that into midpoint formula, you get 8. Can't just plug that in, right? You have to plug in the numerator first. So you get 8, and then you can divide by 2, which is 4. This you get -14, and you divide by 2, which is -7. Okay, so this is a point on that line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I didn't make my line straight enough, but it would fall right on that line. Okay, 4, -7. The other way you could have done it is you could split these in half. So your rise over your run, if you, instead of going up 6, go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and instead of going over 12, go over half of that. So go over 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What do you know? Same point. So either way, you get that point. Okay. Then from here, we are trying to graph this, but we want to be perpendicular. So the perpendicular slope, if our current slope is 1/2, you're going to flip it over and change the sign. So it's going to be a slope of -2, which you're going to go down to over 1. Okay, so you could do that right now from that blue point. From your midpoint, you go down to the right one, or you could go up to the left one to get your line. Okay, but you do have to give me the equation of that line. So if you're taking a point and a slope, you can put that into point slope form. Remember, point slope form is y minus a -7. So y plus 7 equals the slope times x minus your x value. Okay, that's your point slope form. Distribute that. Y plus 7 equals a -2x plus 8. Subtract the 7. So y equals a negative 2x plus 1. Okay, now if you didn't want to graph it earlier, you could have graphed it from this. A y-intercept of 1 and a slope of negative 2. Down to right 1. Down to right 1. You get the exact same line. Sorry, that's hideous. Okay, so that is it. You have the rest of class to take your test. We just went over a little bit of everything that's on it. So hopefully you feel good about it. Chat with your neighbor if you have a question about something that I didn't clarify well enough for you. Good luck.